Welcome to Heartistry. My name is Farah Yasmeen Shaikh, and I am thrilled I get to have two dear friends, two co-conspirators, fellow artists join us today. Let me tell you a little bit more about them. Today, we are going to be in conversation with actually somebody who is a previous guest as well, Preethi Ramaprasad. And today she is joined by Shruti Abhishek. Preethi and Shruti have founded a unique festival right here in the San Francisco Bay Area called When Eyes Speak. It's a South Asian choreography festival. This year, it will be their fifth iteration of When Eyes, and that's eyes like the eye that we use to see. So When Eyes Speak is San Francisco's first South Asian choreography festival and has been featured as a critic's pick by the San Francisco Chronicle. It's been supported by American Conservatory Theater, San Francisco Arts Commission, Zellerbach Family Foundation, the Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Center, Dance Mission Theater, and Safe House Arts. So you can tell this is obviously a festival and an endeavor that is very much has a momentum and again has a community backing it. The festival hopes to support artists in endeavors showcasing the ingenuity and vastness of South Asian diasporic movement and art practices. And Preethi and Shruti are also dance artists themselves, both practitioners of Bharatanatyam. And again, we're going to hear so much about them individually, how they came to co-found this particular endeavor again when I speak. But without further ado, please join me in welcoming to Heartistry, Preethi and Shruti.
Right.
And we welcome Shruti and Preethi to Heartistry.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Farah.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And, we have so much to get into. Before I welcomed you guys in and we were chatting, I said, you guys are partners in crime on a number of things. And so, and I mean that in the best and most loving and inspired way possible. So we're going to, hopefully get into as much of that as we can. Preethi, of course, you have been a guest on Heartistry before. Shruti, your presence here has been a long time coming. So I'm so glad we could finally make it happen. We will get into like some very specific things. I spoke a lot about when I speak. As I introduce both of you, we'll certainly be getting into more of that. That's coming up as soon as October. It's currently, what is it, August? And you have something even just right before that as well, another collaborative project. And so we're certainly going to arrive at the places where we can dig deep in both of those. But I would love to hear from each of you a little bit about you, where you were born, brought up, and really kind of taking us to how and where your artistic practice came into your life. And then we'll certainly find out how and where that intersected for the two of you. Shruti, why don't we hear from you first?
Hi, yes. I love this question just because every time I answer, I think it also changes. And that's the beautiful part about life, how it just keeps evolving. So I always like to revisit this chain of thought. So I grew up in Bombay and been there all my life. My schooling, my college years, my dancing years, most of my dancing years has been there. A true Bombay girl in heart, I feel still. I love the food. And I keep looking for things that reminds me of Bombay here in this place that I now call home. I started my dance training with my teacher Rohini Singhi in Bombay. I was, I think, around 5 years old. I was with her for, I think, almost like 15 to 18 years of my life. And all my foundation, my basics, what I am today, I owe it to her. After there came a point where she told me, like, okay, I think now it's time for you to like move out of my school and like learn more. And she introduced me to my current teacher, Vaibhav. They were friends. They were friends in college. And she was like, I think I have taught you everything that I can. Now it's time for you to move on. And I think he might be the one that takes you forward. And that's how I got introduced to Vaibhav, my teacher now. And with him, I think I'm still learning so much. He's someone who's he himself, he's pushed, I don't want to say pushed the boundaries, but he's constantly like learning what the extent of Bharatanatyam is. And I think that thought I've sort of imbibed, and constantly learning and trying things every day to understand what Bharatanatyam is, and also to what the extent of that is in terms of form, in terms of thought, process, all of it. I traveled with him a lot. We like I was part of the dance company, Sankhya dance company. We traveled extensively in India and abroad, and then fast forward, I got married. I came here. I've been in the US for about 10 years, no, 12 years. Wow. 12 years.
There's the evolving part right there.
Yes. Yes. 12 years. And yeah, the first 5 years was just me figuring out the culture and how things work here. I think I'm still figuring it out and constantly learning. Sorry.
And did you know, I'm curious, so whether in those first 5 years, or did you maintain your training with your teacher right as you moved here? If so, how were you doing that? Was it only when you went home? Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, no. The first 3 years, I think I was just in a state where I was like, what is happening where I am?
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
it's such a huge change just moving from India and not knowing absolutely anyone. So I think that I was in a place where I just wasn't doing anything at all. And
Yeah.
it was a weird, dark place to be in. But anyway, I'm
Sure.
glad I'm out of it. So yeah, there was no training per se. But then I think as Zoom started, like all of these mediums opened up, it was nice to just get in touch, get back to the training, and like learn from him again online. And then I started visiting India more often. Like I was 6 months there, and I was more there, less here.
Okay.
And then finally I met like my friends who are my family now, like Preethi, Nadi, so like all of them. I think it's honestly, I keep telling my husband, Abu, like it's because of them I'm like back. I'm reliving my life, so to say, just because dance was such an integral part growing up, and after moving here, I kind of lost it. But it's honestly thanks to these guys that I feel alive, and yeah, we're constantly looking to work together, I
Yeah.
guess, in different ways. Yeah, and here we are today.
It's beautiful. Oh, I have so much I want to say about this last part, but I'll wait. Go ahead, Preethi.
Yeah, I think there's a clear direction that this interview is going to go in. So that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have loyal podcast listeners, so I don't want to, repeat too much of my journey to them, but I'm so happy to be back. I love Farah and I love Shruti. So, my journey, unlike Shruti, I grew up in the United States. I grew up in New Jersey. But I never had a dance teacher in the United States. I had a music teacher, Padma teacher, who I just loved. She passed away when I was in my early 20s, my mid 20s. And after that, I feel like the music part has never quite been the same. But my dance teacher was always in Chennai, India. And now that my daughter is 5, I understand very much what my parents were thinking. It was very wise. My mom saw that I was very interested in dance when I was young. And my grandfather, who has been a patron of the arts, was a patron of the arts for a lot of his life, was like, there's a lot of arts here in India. Why are you doing all of this summer camp stuff? Send her to me. We'll take care of her. And so I went to India. and I met my teacher, Sudanti, and my mentor, Priya Miss, and just never looked back. It's kind of a testament to them that this weird American girl who was like
Mm.
very obsessed with dance was just like going back. I danced for hours every day. And I just went back every year. Eventually, I lived there for a bit, and then I moved back after I got married. And so it was weird coming back,
Mm.
because there is a communal way of looking at life in India that I got accustomed to. And I had to somehow, and I also had my relationships with people back here at home had changed because I was
Yeah.
away for first 1 year and then I came back and then for like 4.5 years and so it was like
Yeah.
it was different. And so when I came back, I think I was also very interested in all of these questions that I had, but I didn't quite know how to put them into words. I didn't know how to word my issues with the field of dance. Why are some people seen and some people not seen,
Mm.
and all of that? And I think I went to grad school, which really helped me to verbalize what I was thinking. And when I was in grad school, I had all of these thoughts like, what should I dance? Should I dance? And I think curating really helped me with that because I was like, oh,
Mm.
I want to see more of this dance, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure that I wanted to do that. So then I would try to platform people that I wanted to see. So that became a practice in and of itself. Um, and I think I just want to say, like, this is a segue maybe into maybe the next part is that I think something that Shruti and I connect over is I think it's like an it's like a asymptote, like where it's like the limit is it never quite reaches the line in
Mm.
mathematics. Like I think Shruti and I are constantly trying to replicate the first people we danced with, the people we grew up dancing with.
Mm.
I think we are kind of um, always giving into this feeling of nostalgia. And I
Mm.
think we both kind of egg each other on in that way.
Yeah.
And that the people that I danced with in India and the people that she grew up dancing with, like we've now met some of our friends through dance and our teachers. And now I'm working with her teacher, Vaibhav,
Ah,
in this new production, which hopefully we'll
nice.
cover.
Yeah.
And she's met my teacher and my mentor, and we featured, my teacher in When I Speak, which we're gonna talk about. And so we've had this like kind of cross ventilation, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think we're just constantly being like, okay, what is the next like phase of this? Like, these are the good times. These are the good times. Like, because I think we're just constantly seeking that. And I think these are the good times, actually. So now we're in this phase where we have developed a practice, like a community of us. Um, and that's really cool because
Yeah.
we're all doing different things and we're also doing stuff together and we're trying to be there for each other in the best way that we can. We don't agree on everything and we don't or anything like that, but Shruti's laughing. But and like and like some of us are come across harder than others in some issues and not in other issues and all of that's all there. It's all the
Yeah.
dynamics are there, but there is a commitment to this like uh uh these are the good times and just being
Mm.
there for that. And I think that's what really connects us.
Mm. Beautiful. Let's take our first pause here. Welcome back to Heartistry. This is Farah Yasmeen Shaikh, and I am in conversation today with Shruti Abhishek and Preethi Ramaprasad, and hearing a little bit again about your individual kind of origin stories, at least in relation to the art. And I just got to respond to a couple of things that are really standing out to me. Shruti, when you were even saying, because it's frankly what I'm noticing, of course, are the things that are either relatable and or very unique and or in contrast to my own experience and or what I assume to be that of many others, which is that first teacher that said, go train with this person. There's a lot of letting go. I was recently asked to make a video for a conference that's coming up, and the prompt that I had to respond to was, how do you sustain, an organization beyond your own leadership? And, I took that really as like, you're a founder, you've developed this, da, da, da. And my response was, look, this is not unique to the arts. We see this idea of founder syndrome come up a lot. And my response to it is I actually feel that something sustains when you let go, because that's when your vision, and I haven't had to do a whole lot of that yet myself, but there are some moments where I'm very consciously sort of activating that intention and or really try to verbalize this intention. So when I am faced with something like, how can I, will I, etc. And so I just, it is not something we see too much. And I will just use this myopic lens of in our respective dance traditions and otherwise. Would you guys agree with that? Was that a pretty unique situation to you?
Yeah, I mean, yes, because I've had like friends from different dance schools when I did my performing arts degree. So there were a lot of kids from like different schools, right? So this was unique. Like like Chechi, I call her Chechi fondly, my teacher.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things she did in like when we were in her school that is foundation to how I behave with my kids now or with my friends or how we work. I think it is unique because I still hear a lot of stories where where teachers sort of have these rules.
And it's a lot of control, like ownership and control of their students in many ways, right? Yeah. And then the other thing that both of you kind of alluded to, and Preeti, you spoke a little bit more about it, but just this idea of even finding each other and developing this community. And by each other, I know it's beyond, again, more than just the two of you. Nadi is somebody I've known. I still quite literally remember the first time I met Nadi. It was at, and the irony in this, at Dancers Group, in San Francisco-based organization. They're a wonderful dance service organization. And I was on the board of directors during that time. And there was a holiday party there, and they invited all those that they were fiscally sponsoring. And Nadi was one of those. And this must have been maybe 2012, 2013. Mm-hmm. So I was chatting with her. We South Asians tend to gravitate towards one another. Mm-hmm. And she was telling me, she grew up in Houston, I believe, correct? Yeah. And she was telling me how she trained there, moved here, and she was, developing a performing ensemble at the time. This was actually, I think, just when she was starting to work on the Cloud Messenger.
Cloud Messenger, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, and I was just like, oh my God. I was still under my Guruji's direct guidance at the time. And I remember asking her, like, how's this going over with your teacher? Like, that you're working with Bharatanatyam dancers that have trained with other people, stylistically, we know the diversity that exists in these singular art forms. And she's like, yeah, it's not always welcomed or encouraged. And I can't remember what she said about her specific teacher, but she was acknowledging the roadblocks for sure, even in talking to other people, right? And yet now fast forward 10 plus years later, I mean, I've had the chance to work with Nadi in a video collaborative project, and, but just seeing so many of you come together, frankly, on and off the stage, the way that there's just the support. I mean, my goodness, quite literally how you show up for each other and other artists. I know it's out of your own interest and desire to observe and be inspired by their work, but I mean, I get that, but I don't always take the time to do it. You guys are on it and you move as this really beautiful fluid force. And maybe again, I am recognizing it because sadly, it's not part of my story. And yet again, I do believe it's something different. So what's the secret sauce? Why is it? How did you guys get past whatever maybe obstacles you were consciously aware of?
I I want to demythicize that a little.
Thank you. I happily
Like,
would love that.
and it is wonderful, but I don't think it's like I think it's part of your story, like now. Like I think it
Now,
can be. Like
yes.
I think this is an ongoing process. I think it's like, okay, what are you doing this weekend? Like, let's go. Let's let's go together. Let's be there. Um and that it hasn't been like not calculated, but it hasn't been like a planned uh
We're going to flip the script
no.
intention.
I
Yeah.
mean, we are trying to flip the script in some of the things that we do, to be sure, right? We are confronting, I've read things and I'm trying to confront things and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, so much can happen just by showing up.
Mhm.
Just showing up. And that can just change like tomorrow. Like what's happening today? I don't know. Like let's just if we have
Yeah.
a moment, just show up. Um so much can change just by doing that. And I think we also have limitations. Like there are some like this past weekend, I did not see any shows. I was like with my family and friends, not watching any show. And then the weekend before, I saturated with shows. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even see straight, basically after a couple of the shows that I
Mm.
saw. And so I think it can happen any day. And then you do that a few times and it's like, oh, I've been seeing you a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it begins with that. And to be sure, there are times where I'm like, oh, well, I really just don't feel like going to this.
Yeah.
And I always tell my husband, I'm like, at like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. I'm like in my pajamas and like I really don't feel like leaving sometimes.
Mm.
But I have never regretted
Yeah.
going to
You're
see
there.
dance. I've
Yeah.
never regretted it. Never. Or
Yeah.
like a show, even if it's not dance, like some kind of show. I always come back feeling amazing.
Yeah.
And
So true.
I'm like regularly in awe of that feeling and just chasing
Mm.
that feeling.
It does.
And
It ignites something in you,
it
doesn't it?
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think like dancers like I think good dancers also like to watch good dance. Like
Mm.
I think that's like a thing that I like I think I mean there's a limit. I mean soon we're gonna be practicing every day. And I think in that time we're probably gonna get to see less dance. And but when we can, we're still going to try to see something together, probably. Because then we'll be like, hey, remember that thing that we saw? Like, I
Yeah.
think that was a good idea for this. And when we saw, like, when I wanted to shout out
Ah,
Akhil's performance, Mancha Pravesh, when we were all at the same show, when we saw it, I think we were all inspired in different ways.
yeah.
And why would I ever forfeit that opportunity? Never.
Yeah.
It's there for us to enjoy. So I think it's less about like creating like a group thing and more about just showing up. Just
Totally.
just come. Why don't you just
Yeah.
come? Like
Yeah.
not you, but some
No,
like yeah.
generally,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think it comes from that. Yeah, sure. I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
Shruti, I'd love to hear from you. Like, how about on the dance floor? How did that even kind of initiate? Like you said, I mean, you spoke so beautifully and clearly it was with such heartfelt intention. Like, this is your family now, and it keeps expanding. Um, but and spoiler alert, I've been able to get on the dance floor with you both a little recently, and we'll talk more about that. But even when we've met, I think Preethi, you said it like from the get-go. Okay, Shruti and I are very different dancers. And, and again, we know there's so much diversity in any of our styles. But how was negotiating those differences, anything about kind of reflecting on that more artistic exchange?
Yeah, I think for me, it starts from the idea of learning constantly, and it's just having my friends around me, like we all have had different backgrounds growing up in terms of schooling or your dance career or where you are from your life, and I think that to me has always motivated me, and that has been the impetus for me to grow. So I'm honestly very selfish about that. I was like, hey, what am I learning from selfish in a way, like what do I how can I evolve? What am I learning from Preethi today? And what am I learning from Farah today? And there's so much I do every day that I feel it fills my cup, and I think that for me is like the first like motivation when we are in a studio working together. And I guess it's also like if I don't allow myself to do that, I'm not growing, and I don't think I like that fact about me. I need to see a difference of how I was 5 years ago versus how I am today. I think that is a motivation for me, and just I think the mutual respect that we all have towards each other, and just as Preethi said earlier, we don't really agree on everything, but the fact that we are in a comfortable space to argue and to let each other's thoughts coexist, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, no, and it shows. I've seen Shruti, you specifically dance with Nadhi. I know, again, Preethi, thinking about you, I haven't had a chance actually to see you perform, and that's something I really look forward to in many ways, and for many reasons. But I know, like, Nadhi's been teaching and has had you come in and sub, and just again, and I'm taking the time to talk about this because not only as I am constantly reflecting on my own experience and wishing and hoping certain things could have been different, I also do feel like it's part of my calling to take my experience and say, well, sometimes, Shruti, you talked about some of those foundational things from your first teacher really has shaped who you continue to try to be. Absolutely, there are so many gifts that my Guruji gave me. And yet there were a lot of things that I wish were different in the environment that I was a part of with him and the others. But I think that experience on whatever level needed to occur for me to actually address it more consciously. And so that's why I take the time, because as recent as, frankly, just 2 weeks ago, somebody that I know through Instagram reached out and said, hey, you've shared some stuff that makes you think you might be able to relate to this. Never met the person. We've had enough interaction on Instagram, but she talked to me for an hour about what she's going through. And I love that door is open for somebody like that to reach out to me. But the point is that these cycles are still very much in existence. So I hope that both of you and those that you have consciously or not come together to build this beautiful example. I hope you never take for granted what you are doing. And I get a little emotional because it is very powerful. It's very, very powerful. So,
Thank you.
Let's take a pause while I dry my eyes. Welcome back to Heartistry. This is Farah, and we are speaking today with Preethi and Shruti. And, we heard again, your introduction, we heard about when I speak, and I would love to jump into that a little bit. again, I know you have another project in the works. And so we have to make sure we save time to chat about that as well. But as stated, you are coming up on the fifth iteration of When I Speak. But before we get into talking about that, the what, the when, the who, all of it, how did this even come to be? How, when, yes.
Yeah, I can start about that. Sure. So when I speak is, well, we're calling it San Francisco's first South Asian Choreography Festival. It started because major shout outs to Joe Landini of Safe House Arts. I was like a raw resident. Like I was trying to show work. I was trying to stay in touch with dance, there. And he was like, you should curate like 2 nights of just South Asian
Mm,
dance or Indian dance. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I invited my friends to perform there. And as I was like trying to move things around, I was like, you know what? Let me stay out of this one and just have people I know dance. And um, Shruti was not in town actually
mm,
that time. I forget where you were. You might have been in India.
India.
Yeah. And so then so we ended up featuring my friends Tanya and Puneet, who are like they're married and they do Bharatanatyam together, so it's a duet. And then Nadi, who graciously, as she is our very close friend, she brought Cloud Messenger back after years
mm,
and did it for like a pittance because we had no money. I had no money. And Vidya Subramaniam, who's a Bharatanatyam dancer that used to live in the Bay Area,
yeah.
and then Tina, Shri Tina, who helped me. Who was a co-curator of When I Speak as well in the beginning, and now she's moved to New York. So it was 2 nights, and it was two performances each night, and it went really well. It was really cool to see all of these performances, and I started grad school, so then I was starting to learn about
Mm,
the multiplicity of the South Asian diaspora a little bit more and all of this stuff. And then the next year we got an opportunity we got this grant, we got this shared grant thing with ACT. Um, and so it was like 4 nights. And I think we just like blew up within 1 year. And it was
yeah.
like, we had some contemporary, we had Temple of Fine Arts from Malaysia.
Wow.
We had Rasika performed a piece. We had Vaibhav sir. We had Shruti's teacher. He did
Mm.
a theater. It was a theater dance thing. A excerpt from Tagore. One of my favorite things I to watch him do actually. And
Ananya was a part of it, I think, that
and
year.
Ananya, yeah, we
Yeah.
had Ananya sing. So that was the
Okay.
beginning of
Yeah.
like bringing in things that are. I was like, it's not just. I was like, choreography is not just dance. There's more to it.
True. Yeah.
And we were and are a tiny team. Like it's just us basically doing all of this stuff. And as the years have gone by, the curation has reflected like definitely like my education, and some of it I've pulled Shruti, I forced Shruti into some of it, but also Shruti's like our changing thoughts basically
Yeah.
as they relate to dance. Um, and I think a highlight year for me was 2023 when I was like,
Mm.
there's, Jyoti has this. I saw Jyoti do this work at Yerba Buena about her
Yeah.
great grandfather. And I was like, okay, she's doing this work. And I already knew I liked her stuff. And I was like, I had already asked her to be part of the festival. And then I saw her and
Mm.
saw her spoken word, and I was like floored. Like
Yeah.
eyes were like tearing up, and when you see a work that you really believe in, like,
Mm.
and that was it was a shift for me as a programmer because I was like, what can I do for this work? That was what happened. And so then we met, Shruti and I met, and Jyoti had agreed to do it, and then I was like, there Anirvan and Barnali, who have now become very close. They're like my teachers, really, but also
Mm.
collaborators. And I'm like, they do this thing with the Gather Party, and Jyoti does this
Mm.
thing with the Gather Party. Like, how can we put them together? It was Shriti's idea. She was like, it should be like a walking tour that leads up to where it is. And I was like, that's genius. And I felt that we further shifted the idea of choreography.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and also during the pandemic, we did a remote when I speak. So my teacher was able to perform some abhinaya
Okay.
from India, all of that. But then when we did this was the opposite. This was like it was like, what can
It
we,
was integrated
yeah, it
experience.
was like
Yeah.
almost a site specific.
Yeah.
Her work, which was already so personal, turned into like a site-specific thing where the Gather Party headquarters, where for audiences who are listening, like the Gather Party, championed for the British to leave South Asia, and where many activists were punished for this. And her great grandfather was one of the people who was part of this movement, and she has this like really personal way of telling
Mm.
this story through dance, theater, poetry, um, and live music. And so then we had this walking tour by Anirvan and Barnali where they like touch on this history. And I just felt like, wow, this is how to tell a story. I felt like it was so cool. And I think slowly Shruti and I are looking at a very critical way to help choreographers like deepen whatever they're trying to put on stage. And I think the that's the area that we're going into. So when I speak is a choreography. It started as a choreography festival, but I think the direction we're going in is to help is to it's what we've been already doing, but like it's because when I speak has never had like a singular venue. It hasn't been one type of program every time, but rather we find the artist and then we find the venue that works
Mm.
that, and then our our main thing that we're lacking in is resources, is money. And so what we're trying to do, and we're going more in the direction of, is like how can we champion like creatively kind of be like steward whatever this artist is trying to present on stage. And I think that's the direction that When I Speak is going to. And now in 2025, we will present our fifth When I Speak, which will be you, Farah
Ah.
Yazbek, with Nurani Dance Company. And Shruti and I were both at your first iteration of this work. I don't know if it was your first, but one of your earlier iterations.
It was the premiere. Yeah.
And we were both very, again, I already mentioned how we always give into this nostalgic feeling. And like we meet for holidays with our kids. We have
Mm.
we're very nostalgic about food that reminds us of home. So some of the pieces that you touched upon were incredibly nostalgic. And what, from a critical perspective as a programmer, what it all reminds me of is that the broader South Asian diaspora is actually nostalgic about many of the same things. And yet there's a lot of their boundaries are very, very disruptive in this
100%.
process,
Yeah.
right? And so I use nostalgia as a method, really, to confront confront those boundaries. And so in relation to your work,
Mm.
which I think uses nostalgia and presents these artists across Pakistan who have introduced songs that remind me and Shruti of our childhood, of our times in
Mm.
India. We are also having Nikita Shah, who is an expert in kalamkari, which is a type of art. The word kalam comes from the Persian word um, kalam,
Pen.
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 Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and um, and this word. I mean, it represents the syncretic. traditions of South Asia and
Mm.
how art can really bring out these motifs and memories that we can all collectively enjoy together. And so again, now in this one, we're using visual art in tandem with dance. And yeah, we're super excited to see what that is going to reveal for our for our audiences. Shrit, how did I do?
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, needless to say, I am beyond excited. And I think for all the reasons that you describe around, what the vision is for when I speak in general and this idea of nostalgia. And I have to say is, this the piece that the production that we're bringing into this is called Sabit Qadam, loosely translated as perseverance. And when we premiered it, it was really with this intention of honoring with examples of artists that I've been profoundly inspired by. But ultimately, it's about honoring artists in general who persevere through very adverse conditions, and how art can also become a form of identity, right? And it was, yes, kind of through the lens of art and artists in Pakistan. But as you say, it is so applicable to South Asia in general, as far as the very specific content, the artist, the music, the poetry of this particular show. But I also think that it's so relevant clearly to the global landscape. What does identity mean? What does nostalgia mean? I mean, my God, we're looking at what's happening in Palestine. When you think about what is going to be the thing that they long for and that they hold on to, the food, the land, the people, the music, the peace, the calm, the sights, the smells, all of it. Yeah. And so it is and poetry and music can evoke so much of that. And then our job is like the visual extension of that as dance artists is to hope to further interpret that, sometimes literally, sometimes, in a more kind of aesthetic, abstract way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting. And even Nikita and I were having a conversation, like just even the framing of nostalgia. We were having a conversation, and nostalgia, I think that we often think about it is exclusively positive memory.
Exactly.
Right. And it isn't always that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shruti, anything you'd like to add to over the years when I speak, what's coming up with this particular event?
I think Preethi pretty much covered the past of like how we have grown over the years since 2018, Preethi? 2018, yes, 2018 to 2025. I think where we are going now, we met last time, Preethi and I met last time, and we already talked about what we want to do in 2027.
Love it.
It's I mean, we aren't even, but anyway, so we already know where 2027 is, and as Preethi said, I think it's like we're constantly evolving, learning, also understanding what the extent of South Asian art form is. And I think what I just wanted to add that it's where we are now, it wasn't like that 5 years ago, right? And I think what's beautiful about this team, this duet, is I think we want to learn. We want to learn what South, like, and redefine almost to ourselves and folks living around us, like what South Asian dance is, art form is. And hence, like, we want to like go and see more performances that change that for us, and I guess I'm really looking forward to see what 2027, 2029 years that come, how When I Speak is shaped.
Do you ever think that this is something you could almost take on the road as like producing it in another city, another locale of sorts, outside of the Bay Area specifically? Is that something you guys have ever talked about? And you'd be
most of the time we talk about what I talk about is stopping it, because we don't have the resources to,
sure. So say pie in the sky. Like, I know it's hard not to be grounded in the realities that we all face, but
no, but No, we actually no. Funnily enough, no. I do want to say something related to this. Shruti and I have really enjoyed digging deeper into the local. Like there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
something very cool about that. And we've done it with our other initiative, which we curate along with Nadi,
Right.
called Varnam Salon. And it started that way because Varnam Salon's funding was we needed to pay artists local, the payment needed to go to California-based artists.
Right.
Um I realized, and then I do this other initiative with Nikhil Mandala Parthi, who he does this thing called Voices of Bhakti, which again it reframes the notion of devotion from like the South Asian diasporic perspective about how like the South Asian diaspora, like if you look at different poets like across like some of them have originated in Afghanistan and then traveled to Delhi and now there's like what do you define as even South Asia?
Yeah.
It's changed drastically. And so but both of these initiatives, I've noticed that when we dig deep into the local, man, the community that you can, first of all, there's people we didn't know are dancing here and are so amazing. So that's very
Yeah.
cool. It's very cool for building community. But it also helps us strengthen our like goals. Like we really want to see more of this. And I think once that is strong,
Right.
then if it goes on the road or for like away, it has a purpose. It has like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
strong sense of what it's going to be. So this happened with Vadnam Salon. So like we had a really specific, we ended up with a really specific, really local, really, this perspective. And then it ended up working.
Well, it looks like we lost her.
Oh.
I think she'll come back in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can finish what Preeti was saying,
Yeah,
though, in
please.
terms of just, I think, yeah, what we did with Varnam Salon, we digged in so local, and the foundation was so strong that I think people around started noticing what this
Yeah.
is. And Farah, I want to say, like, I think Varnam Salon is in like 10, it's in like 5 different countries now, and like, and in those countries in different states. So it's just beautiful to see how it's
Amazing.
just like spread its wings.
Totally. Oh, I love, and that's all because of what you initiated?
Yes, Nadi,
Because
Preeti, and I. Yes,
I noticed like there's one on the East Coast happening and I just like, oh, maybe this is again not being so proficient in Bharatanatyam. I was thinking maybe this is a common thing and you guys initiated the in quotes chapter here, but you were really the catalyst. And
yeah, yeah.
again, it kind of speaks to like I don't imagine you have a lot of direct hands-on
Oh,
in the
it's just the three of us doing things
yeah,
here, and then
yeah,
and people reached out to us. We were like, oh,
I
how
love
can we
it.
apply to Varnam Salon? And we were like, why don't you start your own? This
See,
and yeah, so it's now in different countries, and
I
it's
love it.
people love it. So
I love it. Well, while we are waiting for Preeti to come back, Shruti, do you want to just mention how folks can find out about, let's going back to When I Speak, how they can just look at even what you've done previously, where they can
yeah.
find you, and anything about the upcoming as far as dates, location, venue, all of that. And there's Preeti. Hi there. We're just doing a quick wrap up on When I Speak, and Shruti was just going to let us know how folks can learn more about it.
Yeah, we have an Instagram page called When I Speak. We put all our details. I mean, you can see the past. I think all our past updates, the festivals, everything is in the Instagram page. We also have a Facebook page called When I Speak, and the this year's When I Speak is happening on October 11th and
2
12th.
months from today.
Yes.
Oh, look it. That got balloons. We'll take that as a good sign.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
sorry,
2
you said the
months.
dates and then I overtook
Yeah.
with my balloons
No, no,
and the
no.
location.
Yes, it's on October 11th and 12th. We have 3 shows of Sabit Kadam. 11th, we have 2 shows, and 12th, we have 1 show. And you'll find the ticket links on the Instagram page, and also on the Noorani dance page. And each of our websites, I guess, has the ticket link as well. Nikita's workshop is on October 11th at Art Together Oakland. That's a 2-hour workshop where she'll be guiding us to do kalamkari, painting, and it's also open to kids. So please bring your kids. And what else? Preethi, am I missing something?
Did we say the venue? Joe Good Annex,
Yes.
San Francisco? We did. Yes. Yeah.
Joe
So it's
Good
going to
Annex,
be,
yes.
it's a great, I know that you've done work in that space. This is the first time I've attended shows there, first time I'm working in there. And I love those intimate kind of spaces. And so, the hope obviously is that we have a full house. It's intimate. The goal, I think, for us as dance artists is always I've had this conversation with my students, my company a lot. People come to dance and they think it's about what they're watching and that's what they're responding to. But it's really about how it's making you feel. Yeah. Right. And I love intimate spaces because it just gets you that much, like quite literally closer to the potential of that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love doing work in small spaces. It's just, you get to see so much.
Well, and can I tease one last thing about this? Is that all the things that you've both said, again, we're so excited to be a part of it, we being myself, Noorani Dance Company. And, in the first iteration, we had some wonderful collaborators. And as much of the work that we do as dance artists, some things are really sort of in these containers and you move it along as a very tight show. What I always hoped, and already the second iteration is going to be a very similar and different experience. So even folks who saw it, we're going to have some new guest artists, and that actually includes both of you. So that's the coming full circle to how we've had a chance to share some more dance space lately. And that's just been such a joy. And I'm just excited to see and feel it all come together with both of you too.
Yes, we're super, I love that we all have the same musical taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Awesome. Let's go ahead and take our final pause here. Welcome back to Heartistry. I have been speaking today with Shruti Abhishek and Preethi Ramaprasad and hearing again about your separate and collective collaborative journey, what's coming up. And we talked about what's coming up in October, but just a month prior to that, you're working on something else. And it would be such a loss if we didn't get to hear more about that too, because this one I get to sit in the audience and just absorb. And I'm just so excited and would love for you to talk more about this project and what's it called, what's the vision, the intention, the who, what, where, all of it.
All right. As much as I guess 2 projects in 2 months, as nerve-wracking that is, it's super exciting to just be collaborating with friends, and it's so that the project is called As You Are. We're premiering the work in September 11. Oh no, I'm getting the dates mixed up.
12, 13, 14.
September 12th, 13th, 14th in BAM House, Oakland. And we have 4 shows. As You Are is such a process-based work. It started. I just want to mention that the work was first premiered in India. It was my teacher Vaibhavarika's concept, where I think the thought was, how would it be when dancers from different schools, forms, when they come together, what would that work be? I think that was where it started. And then they did the whole show in India, and then I saw that show and we were like, this is something that can be like done here. And I think I'd reached out to Nadi saying, hey, there's this work, it's, I think it'll work here. Because just we have so many, like, there are so many dancers here who have just different ways of thinking, producing the work, and it's like serious thinkers, and there's so much to say. I think we should all come together and talk about stuff that really matters to us, and try to do that, try to like present that in some shape or form. And that's how I think Nadi reached out to Rasika, I reached out to Preethi, and we were like, hey, all of us have worked in different capacities. Can we come together and do something, And that's how As You Are was it was earlier called And She Spoke, but I guess in the context of things here, it's a little. We were like, this title doesn't fit well for us here in the US. And then I think Preeti and Sindhu were jamming one day in one of the rehearsals, and the song that and they started singing like As You Are. I don't know. And we were like, oh, this is a nice title. Should we just go with this? And so that's how As You Are came to be. Preeti, did I miss something of how it was?
Yeah. No, you didn't miss anything. I think I will say that this process has been one of the most indulgent processes I've been a part of. I think I've mentioned that to you before. And I will say that it's hard for me to say what it is about.
Yeah.
A lot of times I've been telling people come to our show, and they're like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's about because it started out as like a set of, I think
exercises.
And She Spoke was like a set of like workshops that Vaibhav Sir ran, especially through the pandemic, and about our experiences. So it's whatever we were going through at the time. And I think all of us in this particular iteration are like, newish mothers, like motherhood is part of it, is like our path, like our experiences as women, as caretakers, like all of these different experiences kind of have made their way, but they're very deeply personal. So it's hard to be like, this show is about this, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why And She Spoke didn't work ultimately for us as a title. It just wasn't specific enough for like what we were doing. And As You Are is a way to say like, there's no resolution in this show. It's like we are sharing a whole bunch of different truths that we see in our lives that we've brought to the table, and we've thought of the best theatrical way for us to express that without resolving it, without and I think that's what's very exciting. And I think I have to give credit to Shruti for recognizing, yeah, like so many of us like go to shows, we hang out together, we've been part of each other's, different initiatives, but it was Shruti that was like, okay, well, now let's see this chemistry play out on stage, and let's see what happens we play in the studio. And that has been remarkable, because every day I show up to rehearsal like so excited to be working with these amazing dancers, and also like motivated, like, oh, I gotta get my stuff together. I gotta
Totally.
So that's like a duality that's like really cool.
And it's kind of, sorry. If you go into your thought, I can hold on mine. Go ahead.
I mean, as Preeti said, when we get into a rehearsal, something gets revealed, and that is what you will see on stage. There's no gray area. Like what we did in rehearsal, oh, this worked. Okay, let's just put this on stage. And I think that's how all the pieces have come together. And somehow, I think the transitions have been so organic because we didn't have a set frame of rule that we were trying to follow. So yeah, I think it was the whole process was extremely organic.
Well, and what I was going to say, and you've just built on it a little bit more, is, per my kind of response to the way we open this conversation, and each of you speaking and me clearly responding in the way that I did, somewhat emotionally. You're kind of bringing this culmination of these beautiful relationships that have developed artistically and otherwise, and you're kind of putting them to this collaborative test. Test may not be the exploration,
Absolutely,
without like too much of like the recipe's not written down for you.
Yep.
You're just throwing in what's you feel like it might taste good in the moment.
It does feel like it feels like I was asked to be in a band, but for dance.
I mean,
And
Yeah.
come see our set
Yeah.
list is what
yeah.
feels like.
Amazing. And so again, we were talking about When I Speak and the Instagram account for that. Does As You Are, what's the best way for folks to purchase tickets and such for that one?
I'm sharing most of the things through Instagram,
Okay.
and so there's a link in each of our bios. If you
Great.
follow Preethi, Nadi, me, all the collaborators, we have it in the bio, and you can get your
Great.
tickets there. Yes.
Okay. And of course, you're tagged in everything related to this podcast episode, so people can easily find you there and make sure to go.
You can get When I Speak or As You Are tickets from either of our bios on Instagram and on Facebook and other platforms.
Amazing. Well, there is no shortage of exciting just happenings, and I say that with a little bit of a hesitation because it's not always about, again, the moments, the events. It's the process, it's the learnings during and after, and so it's just exciting to just see this momentum, and however and wherever that momentum leads you. I'm just excited to be a part of it, to say the least, but also just to kind of just be witnessing your journey. It's really something beautiful. And again, just I say don't take it for granted, not that it exists, but again, don't take for granted. I'll restate the example and inspiration that you are providing to many.
That's so kind, and thank you.
Thank you.
We will keep that with us.
Absolutely.
Yes. And of course, thank you for your time today on Heartistry.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Always
you.
Anytime.